If I tell you to provide me the status of your project and I provide you with lots and lots of information, what is the quickest thing you can do to summarize that data? You can simply create a graph. Let's start with a short story. For the last 10 years, working on multiple projects and different teams, the most common visual on every progress report was a graph. Let me explain you different type of graphs, especially S curves, and where and which situation they are used. Let's start. So we are in our Excel window and I will try to explain to you bar graph, histogram. S-curve is my favorite, but I will tell you later. First of all, I will tell you the sequence of how I will be teaching this. I will be telling you these graphs, what are the limits of each of the graphs, where to use these graphs, and a bonus tip when you are analyzing your data. The first and most important thing that you need to keep in your mind is what is your field of analysis. It is cost, resources, equipment, number of people, number of cars, XYZ. Your category, planned cost, planned resources, planned occupancy of a certain, your basis, monthly basis, yearly basis. So these are the three things that each and every graph require. Some graph uses all three of these, some uses only two of these. So we will look into it. So I am saying I have planned for a construction project for 12 months. My planned cost is this, my actual cost is this one, and I will explain to you later what is forecast and variance. Let's start. We'll create a new bar graph. First of all, I will select my data. I will select my data till here, and I will go and insert a simple bar graph. So this is a simple bar graph created out of these two categories, and my field is cost and my basis is monthly dates. All are here. But if you will see this graph, you will not get the whole picture of the project. Now I will explain to you these two columns. Because each month, whatever was planned, we have not achieved that and we are a little less from what we have planned. So we created a variance each month. The variance doesn't show here. The reason I have included this variance because my planned cost was 30 million, my actual cost is 27 million, and my variance is 3 million. That means my project is not completed, neither this graph. So I will tell my team that in the next 4 months, these 3 million will be distributed evenly and my project will complete in April rather than December 2023. So if I go here, I will select one more field and I will just drag my data here. This is the complete picture of my project. And you can see now we have planned cost, actual cost, forecast, everything available here. My team can see how long the project is delayed, how much work we have to do each month. Give it a more better look. I can go here, chart designs. I will change the title of the graph, bar graph, and I can change these to millions and I can add my data labels outside and explained earlier, lots of data represented in a visual. These are graphs for you. This thing can give you a great picture of the cost of what was the planned cost and how the project is going and how long it will last. So as my bar graph is created, I want to explain to you through the picture. For a bar graph, you have two axes, X and Y axis, and you have to use only one field of analysis. Means you can only use cost or resources. You cannot use both at the same time, and you can use different number of categories for the same field, and you must have a basis. Means you need to have a basis. Basis can change to zones, for example, zones of a project, for example, rooms of a hotel, different models of cars. So while using the same data, I will try to create a histogram. Histogram have also its limitations. Start of the project, you create a histogram and tell everyone that this is how your plan is moving. The plan can be of everything. Your field can be anything. But for me, the field is cost here and my basis is months. So I will delete this. Here, I will select my data and I will create here a histogram. So it created a picture in which it giving me some ranges. I can change this by double clicking it and by categories. So here my basis is my dates and I am analyzing planned cost. Then histogram has two axes, X and Y axis. It is mostly used at the start of the project to create a better picture of the project. It gives your audience a whole picture of how your project will be moving. For me, as I'm using a field here as cost, you can use any field, but only one field, and categories are also limited to one. So if I see this graph, I can see that these 2 months, March and May, are basically the highest progress months. So I should be monitoring these 2 months very carefully, and I need to analyze it, because if these months are delayed, my project will be delayed. Most probably my project will be delayed. Histograms are used for cash flows, for initial estimates, for planning your resources. I normally in my construction experience have used histograms for different KPIs, different elements such as concrete, tiles, paints. So these histograms give a better picture of how things will be moving. These are also part of your basis of schedule sometimes as per the requirement of your client and all. I will make this histogram a little better. So I created this, put some color, and I can put some data label. Now the most important part, S-curve. For me, I use S-curve for almost all my measures, means for cost, for resources, for KPIs, concrete, tiles, doors, everything related to construction, in order to tell the progress or story of how things are going. But before that, we need to understand the line graph, because S-curve is basically type of a line graph, but the data provided is different. So if I come here, select this data, insert chart type, line graph, but there's a mistake here. The mistake is my actual cost is shown higher than my planned cost. That is wrong. So I have to change this to secondary axis. So now you can see my planned is higher, my actual cost is lower, and I also have a forecast. And if I delete this part, this creates a gap. So as per concept, wherever forecast is, actual cannot be there. So we don't have any actuals. But in order to create a graph, we need to give the forecast, a single point of contact in order to start, or a point where to start the forecast from. So I will enter this value here. For me, line graphs are better than bar graphs and histogram. In line graph, we have two axes, x and y axis. We have different categories of the same element, same as bar graph, but the shape of the graph is different. So it is similar to bar graph, and it gives you more kind of a trend line or how the project is going. So this is my S-curve. It is similar to the line graph. Curve's data is different. When we are going towards S-curve, we are going towards cumulative value. So if I delete this one, will come here. So I'll select this, I will select this, I will select this, and I will select this. And I will insert these. Okay. It is very easy to create if you have the right data, but I will show you how I created the data. This was my planned cost as I'm using the previous example. I just did a cumulative value, so I add this, and the next one is this one, and I did the cumulative value till this, till here, till the delayed part of the project. Similarly, I did the same thing for this one. I use this cost plus this plus this. Because my actual cost is still here, so I will just drag it out till here. And this is my forecast cost. So by concept, there is no forecast. You already have completed the work. But for the sake of the graph, here we have provided the last point for the actual value, so the graph can be connected. So if I delete this, it shows something like this. The formula I use is the same one I used here. So I will click this one, and then for this one I will just add this. Done. The main reason of using S-curve is the trajectory that it shows of how your project is moving or will be moving. So here I can see if I was standing here at this point in somewhere in May, I will not be very much concerned about the project, because my trajectory was going along with my planned values. But after that, my trajectory went down, and it went down till this point. My trajectory is going down. By the use of this trajectory, I can say that my project will finish somewhere here. But fortunately, as per my data suggests, I will be accelerating my project and I will finish on time at this point. All these graphs doesn't give you what happened, but it gives you the location of where to look into. So be very careful. Graphs, S-curves, any visual provide you information about the location of delays or something that happened at that point. To dig into information and take out the data, what basically happened. And S-curves does this
better than any other graph. For other graphs, we don't have to use any cumulative data. S curves are type of line graph, so you can have multiple category of a single field, and you have X and Y axis. S curves can tell you the trajectory of your project, of how it is moving or how it will be moving, so you can analyze the forecast better. S curves are very good for key performance indicators, also known as KPIs. For example, if you are working on a construction project and you have different types of materials and quantities, you can prepare S curves for major construction materials. For example, concrete, tiles, reinforcement, paint, doors, anything that is important to you, you can create a KPI and measure and monitor it. I will add data labels, and then for this one, I will also create a data label, but for this data label, I will move it below, so it gives me a better picture. These S-curves helps a lot in analyzing the progress of your project. The progress of your project can be measured through three elements: time, cost, and resources. Currently, I am using my field as cost and my basis as month, and my categories are three categories: cumulative plan, cumulative actual, and forecast. The reason I'm using forecast in each and every part of the graph section gives you the actual point or the whole picture of the project. I tried my best to explain each and every graph with as much detail as possible, but if you have any suggestions, do let me know. I basically relate to construction industry and I am a civil engineer, so I mostly use data that is part of a construction project. The most important thing is that you can replace that data with anything and just change the title of the data. Excel only reads digits. It doesn't know what you are providing to it. So whatever you want to provide, follow the same thing and just provide it with what you want to analyze. Similarly, in a conclusive manner, I wanted to tell you, for me, S-curves are the best. They gives you a trend line and trajectory of your progress. With the trajectory of your project, you can take better decisions. Histograms are basically used at the start of the project or planning stages or estimation to give a plan of how things will be moving, to give a better understanding where is the major chunk of your field, for example, cost is going and where you have to work more. But as we move forward, we use bar graphs. So bar graphs are used during the course of the project. So you have multiple categories. For me, it was a construction project: planned cost, actual cost, forecast, and I can have multiple categories. The difference between bar graph and line graph is not much. It's only about the visual, but I would prefer line graph over bar graph, and I will prefer S curve over any graph. But if you have a different type of data, if you have some limitations and you don't want to use S-curves, you can go with line graph, then bar graph, then histograms. You have to use your best visuals for your best output. Your reporting enhances a lot if you use a better visual for a better thing. It is a requirement. Whatever your data is, you can use everything, but I'm just providing my suggestion and my opinion. I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching.